We talked a little bit earlier at the beginning what is the proposal for building high-performance storefronts from Adobe. And now we have a comprehensive demo to show you how we are going to build that. First, a quick recap. What are the components that we propose to build a high-performant storefront? So Edge Delivery Services will give you the content management system plus SaaS services plus drop-in components to build the UI. So all of these will give you Lighthouse Core 100. We have SDK tools to develop to help you to develop this kind of storefronts. Next, this is the flow you need to follow to build up a site locally. So you need to create a repo from a boilerplate GitHub repository, then add a CodeSync application on that repository, add some sample, then create a new folder, share access with the Helix account. Helix is just like an internal user that we use for EDS. Then add sample content and connect that sample content with your fork repository, install Sidekick extension for Chrome, then you can run your site locally. So that's it. You can start using the boilerplate now. On the next slide, we have the QR code that you can start. It will give you access to the link to start building a storefront. So let's start the demo. Let's start building the fastest storefronts on the web.
Okay.
Dan, you have
Thank you.
Your time. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Bogdan. So I will repeat myself and Bogdan's ideas, part of it. So my name is Dan Ilie. I'm a software engineer at Adobe Commerce here in Romania, more precisely in Bucharest, where we have a very, let's say, small team, but with very talented guys. And if I look here, I can also see some old faces, I mean experienced faces. Yeah, what we are trying to do today, to demo, is to actually build a storefront within 20 minutes. This demo will actually make use of the EDS content authoring built on top of a commerce on-prem setup, which will also gather all the data from your on-commerce prem setup. And in the end, we'll try to see if this setup will actually be as performant as we need to be. So, why am I doing this? Well, this is also part of my thought or my experience that sometimes when you try to to get some knowledge, awareness into a tech stack, the hardest step to achieve is to actually have a hands-on experience with that particular technology. So this is what I'm trying to showcase now, just a hands-on experience for building this storefront. Okay, so we have some prerequisites for that. One of them is GitHub. I believe that you all have, or you should have a GitHub account. Is a setup of Node.js. Also, you can have one of them, or if you like both of them, a Google Drive or a SharePoint setup, drive, content, setup for you. What I want to mention is that EDS can also author SharePoint content, but for the demo today, we will actually use Google Drive. I believe you all have worked or heard of in the past about EEM, and then you heard about EDS at some point. Well, EDS, of course, is trying to build on top of EEM experience. Also, EEM worked in the past as authoring tool with Magento Commerce. But now EDS is bringing this universal editor capability and to, let's say, keep up with its reputation, we'll also try to do that, to be a universal editor for Magento content authoring as well. And when I'm trying about Magento content authoring, I'm also discussing about dynamic content as well. So not only maybe what you were used to have some static pages at some point with what you see is what you get editor, or later, I don't know, with page builder. You can also have blocks in EDS that will deliver actual dynamic content coming from your MySQL database in the end. All right, so in order to achieve this, first of all, we do need to create your storefront. Sorry, not this one. Okay, so to do this, we use AEM boilerplate commerce. This is, let's say, already done boilerplate using the sample data from Adobe Commerce. And we can use this template and create a new repository. Okay, so if we create this repository, of course, we need to choose an owner. And this owner, it should be you. And let's have a name for this repository. You can have it as public or as private, so both visibility area works. For the sake of this demo, we'll choose a public one. You can also have private, but it will require some additional settings. Okay, so this is the first step. Anyway, you'll find all this content within the link that you, I hope, previously got from Bogdan's presentation. If not, you can always reach us. All right, so it's simple as that. This was the first step. Okay, now let's go to a second step. And for the second step, we actually need to have a code sync. And this code sync listen to the changes, of course, that you do in your repository. And they are published to the AEM's code bus for high availability, also for integrity purposes and other needs that the EDS application might need. Anyway, you want to own your repository, so you need to have it synced. Okay, this process is also simple. You would configure this GitHub application. Okay, select the repository you have just created. I will delete this old one. And this is it. Now your GitHub account is linked with AEM code sync, and it will be published in the AEM code bus. All right, now we can actually move to the next step, which is to create an actual Google Drive. And this Google Drive is the tool that allows you to author your content for Magento. We believe that this is a more, let's say, enterprise approach because more customers demand, let's say, more familiar ways of authoring content. And also, they required more, let's say, easy to learn approaches. Okay, so for this very step, we'll simply create a folder. Let's call it the same as the repository. Okay. What we do need to know is that for this folder, it is very important to have this check in place that allows to convert uploads that we are going to do into Google Docs editor format. This is important because EDS understands Google Docs format, not Microsoft format, while this content is being uploaded into Google. So it's a small step, but an important one. Okay, as my colleague already mentioned, this folder needs to be actually shared with this trustworthy friend, which is called Helix. Helix is also the, let's say, more internal name of this authoring capability that was built on top of EEM by allowing you to author content directly from Drive or SharePoint. Okay, now let's have this done. I hope you noticed it is also important to have this share capability done with editor rights, okay? Don't worry, because it is a trustworthy friend, your content is safe. Okay. And also, we have this empty folder, but we need to add some content for it, right? This boilerplate that was available for you at that link also provides some starter content. You can download the starter content. This is also built on sample data, on commerce sample data, and it allows you an easy editing capability later for a better understanding. I will take some time, risking to not be able to have this done in 20 minutes, to let you know that maybe you are wondering how this content is actually used from the CSS perspective into the final product, okay? Because you have some specific tags that Google Drive is adding while you are authoring content in Google Drive. Well, this is something that you can actually do in the very new repository that you just have created, in using purely CSS working or vanilla JavaScript. And this is done from, this is very helpful from a performance perspective. And also, we've noticed that it helps clients to reduce the ramp-up time for the new developers that are being added to the team. And basically, I don't know, everybody or most of us can actually work right away within EDS storefront without knowing a specific JavaScript framework or CSS one. Okay, enough with the talk. Let's get this content. And I need to have it uploaded to my drive, right? So I will drag and drop it. You can see here in the pop-up down below that the files that I have are actually Microsoft files, because this is sometimes how clients actually have their content being authored with Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel. And it is automatically transformed into Google Drive format. Okay, now the upload is complete. We need to connect the GitHub repo that we have created in the next step. With our mount point that we have just realized here with the Google Drive. So let's do this very thing. So we have this YAML file, fs tab, which will edit in line. And here you simply go into Google Drive, copy the URL, and paste it here. So it's actually quite straightforward. You commit the changes, commit it directly to main, and that's it. So now your repo is actually is the mount point. Your repo indicates the Google Drive mount point for your content. Okay. Of course, we have this, the Magento part will come as well. Of course, we have this content sitting here. We know that the GitHub is connected, but we also need to publish this content to the EM bus. So to achieve this, Adobe created a Chrome extension. This is called Sidekick. Now, this is not properly working because it is not configured. So let's have it configured. What we need to do is to set our actual project. So it's called 24 this year. And we need to also paste the mount point, the Google Drive. Let's delete the previous one. OK. And this is the configuration for the Sidekick. OK. We also need to make sure that we have a connection between Magento Commerce and our configuration file that is sitting here in our content on Google Drive. This is a file that EDS is expecting for the configuration parameters, and it contains various data that we do need to provide. Well, let's go ahead in our local setup. We all know John Smith is, oops, I hope he shared his password. Okay. So this is just a local setup of Adobe Commerce. As you can see, it's 2.4.7, built on PHP 8.3, so EDS is compatible with this last build. And now we do need to configure it, as I said. I have already the Commerce Service Connector pre-installed. And if you're wondering, so this is a Dockerized version of the Commerce that we use for internal testing. OK, so here we have a bunch of data. The SAS identifier identifies the environment ID that we are using and also the project. As you can see in the data space now, it's a testing environment. And I'm fortunate enough to know that this is prefixed and expected to be at this endpoint. So it's catalog service endpoint.adobe.io. This is the one endpoint that responds to your testing environment. OK, commerce environment ID is something that you can also find here. It's this string. And yeah, you need to be aware of the styling, okay? So don't paste the styles. Okay. And what else is missing here? We need also the API key. The customer group here is just a SHA encryption of the default customer group. And the commerce API key, we also can get it from here. So I said that this is a sandbox demo test. So it's the public part of your key. OK, so we need to also use this as well here. OK, now we have all this free data entered, but you see down below that there are actually 3 tabs. Production stage and development. These all are corresponding with your setups, with your, let's say, mediums that you can work on. So you have in EDS, you also have 3 environments that you can work. So first one is the development, which is a local host setup. The stage one, which actually takes its content from the local host, or the other way around. And the production one. So it's just as simple as that. OK, so in order to have everything working, all of these, we will actually copy one by one, because not all of them are the same. this very data that we have just filled in the first tab. So bear with me to do this. All right, and now let's copy the public key. Good, now we are ready to publish this content. And I said that in order to do this, we can actually use the sidekick. Yeah, so now you see that I have a preview button here. I did not have it before it was configured. So let's preview this. Preview also functions as a publisher to your stage environment, okay? So once you have previewed this, you are stage ready. Once you publish this, you are production ready. We need to check all of these tabs. This is a JSON format, it is formatted automatically by Chrome. So we have sandbox on all three. We have the same environment ID, and we have the same public key, I hope. Yeah, okay. Good, now we are ready to publish. The red dot means the publishing was not done. Good. Now that we have actually done that, it is time to actually publish the rest of the content, because for now, AEM is not aware of your content. And we can select using this tool. We do not necessarily need to enter a specific document. We can publish them directly from the file listing page. Okay. Once again, bear with me to have this achieved. Okay, so 8 files were successfully generated. Now we can actually publish. Now these were published. There is something else that you actually need to do. Unfortunately, for now, it cannot dive into folders, so we need to publish them, the content one by one. As I said, this is something that was also presented in Adobe Summit, is very fresh. Okay, now we are ready to publish. Good. And we'll also go to the customer. And we'll publish them as well. We'll not go into any other folders. They are not part of this demo. Okay. Good. So now that we have achieved this, we can actually go to back to our main repo, right? And let's try to clone it, because we want to own the code and want to be able to do changes. So let's have this cloned. We'll go to our preferred terminal, and let's have this cloned. I don't know if you can see, I hope. Anyway, I'm going to tell you as well. So I'm cloning this new repository. Okay. I'm navigating to it. And I'll try to install the Node package manager. There's a package JSON inside of it. Okay, once I've done that, I think I'm ready to actually start it. Oh, sorry. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm immediately redirected with my default browser, which happens to be Edge, to localhost 3000, which is the local space for developing our boilerplate. Now I can actually browse. This was previously demoed, the content of this page by Bogdan. So I'll not do that again. So I am now in the PLP, and I have here some very nice products. And I actually took myself the liberty to add a very nice bag. Yeah, this is an image that was actually generated by Firefly, and I did not ask for a bag, but it's just for the sake of it, for the fun. And if we are actually trying to see where is this coming from, well, we'll see that if we look at the URL, you'll see that this is actually coming from our local host, Magento Commerce setup. And this allows you actually to use your favorite CDN that will cover this content delivery for you. So indeed, EDS will still use the CDN that you have configured already in your commerce setup. Okay, let's try to add something to cart to see how that goes. Okay, so we can actually add things to cart, and they are already prepared. The discounts are already taken into consideration. And again, I will not repeat, but as you saw in Bogdan's demo, these data, they are directly coming from the SAS connector that we have set up. So the data are fetched from catalog service, from the Adobe I/O, the sandbox Adobe I/O endpoint, using GraphQL. Okay, so that was actually the local host part of it. So we are ready, but let's try something else. I have some, I don't have the connector installed on Edge. So I will also try to navigate to, let's say, 22/24. Let's do like this. So let me go into Chrome. I will open the Sidekick again. So now you see I have here all the three corresponding tabs from the authoring document, from the drive that you saw there with dev, stage, which is preview, and production. So I can actually preview it. So now the content is coming directly from EDS. And if I go to catalog, I will see the same content that was fetched from my localhost instance. Let's go and check that. Okay, so let's go in commerce. Let's see, do I have here this very product? Yes, I have it. So it was fetched from here. Okay, and one last thing, we need to test the speed of our newly created storefront. So let's do that. So I have here a previously created AM content, EDS content, and you see we were able to achieve 100. The CEO is not 100 because it means to publish your EM content, and this is a separate process to actually go live. It has its own setup. And we won't do it today, as we also don't want to index such a sample content. Okay, so I guess that was it. Let me go back to our PowerPoint. So, question, we still have prizes.
Okay, that sounds really good. We have a question there.
Hi, so currently you rely a lot on Google Documents to manage your content, but are you planning to implement other integrations or other content management systems other than Google? Like if you would have custom implementations for own content management, is there a way to upload documents in another way?
Yeah, as we already said, SharePoint is also used. Actually, our default sample endpoint was a SharePoint endpoint. And I think Microsoft Word is also working, either by uploading to SharePoint or directly. And I don't know if you know anything else at this point, Bogdan. No. But anyway, this is the direction, because it tries to be an universal content authoring. So this is the direction it targets, okay, the vector.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. I was curious about the limits such a system would have, because usually clients don't ask for simply static content as in images and text. They want all kind of funky stuff like sliders, personalized sliders, dynamic content, product. You mentioned products are coming from that service. Would they be able to be fetched in a page? What are the limits? And also, continue on that, in regards to responsive and more complex structures. Like if you give such a document to a client, he will put a lot of things into it. I'm not sure how validation would work, or debugging, even if they throw, copy-paste all sorts of data in the document.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is
very error-prone, you meant.
And error-prone and limited at the same time because of what they usually want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there are blocks that you can have. You see, we have here a product details block. This is a dynamic block, okay? It doesn't say any product. The product is fetched from URL. This is something that you can actually achieve in vanilla.js, and you can change if you want in the repo that I have just cloned. There are multiple types of blocks. There are also enrichment blocks that are that can be used to enrich your content, and also they can contain other blocks, so you can have a sort of include if you want. You have product recommendations. This is also a dynamic block. And also you can have them coming from the PREX, from the SaaS service that Adobe is also delivering along with other services. And there is a em.live you can actually browse, and there are multiple blocks that you can use. There is a learning curve of using those, but once you have this done by your content authoring, let's say webmasters, they are easy to understand and to further deep dive in, right? So it's not, let's say, straightforward. My colleague said that it can take 2 months to have, let's say, a complete experience as the client requests. This is how we anticipate.
Great, thank you for the question. Any more questions on that? Well, I think that was interesting, a lot of thoughts in there. So thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause, guys. Thank you.
Thank you as well.